A very good evening and thank you for joining GBS News at 9. My name is Susan Nganga and our sign language interpreter tonight is Paul Mathenge. We begin this bulletin where Malaysia's Prime Minister Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim has wrapped up a two-day state visit to Kenya, marked by full military honors, a state house banquet and a wide-ranging bilateral talks. During the visit, President William Ruto announced he will travel to Malaysia next year to study the country's housing, health and human resource development models. Our report now looks at how the two nations are strengthening ties from affordable housing to investment and education. Let's take a look. Malaysia's Prime Minister Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim is in Kenya for a two-day state visit that has brought full military honors, high-level diplomacy, and renewed focus on Kenya's affordable housing agenda. The Malaysian leader arrived in Nairobi on Sunday evening, where he was received by President William Ruto, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, and senior Kenya Defense Forces commanders. On Monday morning, President Ruto personally welcomed Prime Minister Anwar before the two leaders stepped onto the podium for a ceremonial guard of honor mounted by the Kenya Defense Forces. Both national anthems were played, followed by a 21-gun salute from the Kenyan Navy, one of the highest honors accorded to a visiting head of government. The Malaysian Prime Minister then inspected the guard of honor as the disciplined forces completed their march past with precision and solemnity. Inside State House, the two leaders held extensive bilateral talks touching on the digital economy, education partnerships, agriculture, and increased investment flows between Nairobi and Kuala Lumpur.
This is not just a normal diplomatic engagement. I mean, President, you are able to charm us from Malaysia. And I consider this a great visit, short but very meaningful. And we have forged this friendship based on trust and confidence, and I will do whatever is necessary to make sure that we affect the change and decisions that we have made.
A major highlight of the discussions was Kenya's affordable housing program, a project that Malaysia's Prime Minister praised repeatedly during the visit. Prime Minister Anwar described President Ruto's housing program as a remarkable leadership and a powerful tool for poverty alleviation, noting its ambition to deliver more than 150,000 affordable units.
I've seen the potential. I've seen the enormous strides you have made in the housing sector, for example, which is most commendable. I don't think many countries, including Malaysia, has embarked that fast and that effective because your passion to provide housing for the people, particularly the poor from Kenya. So congratulations, Mr. President.
The Malaysian leader said the program mirrors what Malaysia has done for decades and expressed readiness to share expertise in housing and home ownership initiatives. President Ruto, for his part, announced that he will travel to Malaysia in 2026, accompanied by Kenyan private sector players to benchmark Malaysia's housing model, human resource development program, and the country's advances in universal health coverage.
We associate ourselves with Malaysia in many ways, and as you have asked me, I will be visiting, by God's grace, I will be visiting your country next year. And I will carry quite a bit of the private sector with me and many others so that when I discuss with the people of Kenya the housing program, where the greatest inspiration came from Singapore and Malaysia, they can come and see what Malaysia has done on the housing program. They can come and see the kind of human resource development that you have done. They can also come and see what you have done in matters health, even as we drive our own universal health coverage here in Kenya. It is amongst the lessons that we have learned from your country.
The Malaysian delegation, which includes ministers in charge of investment, trade, and industry, also attended the Malaysia-Kenya Business Forum and Malaysia-Africa Higher Education Forum. These sessions focused on expanding cooperation in trade, skills development, agriculture, and digital innovation. And still on the state visit, Kenya has praised Malaysia for its growing commitment to strengthening higher education collaboration with African nations. Education Cabinet Secretary Honorable Julius Ogamba commended Malaysian Prime Minister Yap Dato Seri for promoting a progressive model that creates new opportunities for Kenyan students and institutions. Speaking at the Malaysian African Education Forum 2025, the CS stated that the partnership is fostering innovation, research, and global competitiveness. Let's take a look.
Speaking during the Malaysian African Education Forum 2025, CS Ogamba said Malaysian progressive education model, coupled with its supportive for scholarship, technical training, research collaboration, and exchange programs, in transforming opportunities for Kenyan learners.
Kenya and Malaysia enjoy warm and long-standing bilateral relations founded on shared values of mutual respect, cooperation, and a common vision for development. In the field of higher education, our collaboration has grown steadily, marked by student exchanges, academic partnerships, and policy dialogue between our institutions. This forum provides us with a unique platform to reflect on how institutions of higher learning can be at the forefront of this transformation by fostering academic collaboration, joint research, innovation ecosystems, student mobility, and cultural exchanges.
The CS acknowledged the leadership of Malaysian Prime Minister Yap Dato Seri. He reiterated Kenya's readiness to deepen academic and training linkages.
The Right Honorable Prime Minister and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this forum, under the theme Intensifying Internationalization in the context of the Global South Agenda, comes at a pivotal moment. As countries of the Global South, we share a vision of inclusive growth, innovation, and human capital development as the key drivers of our progress.
Malaysian, through its delegation, reaffirmed its commitment to expanding cooperation in scholarships, research, technology, and university partnerships, signaling a continued push for stronger ties with African nations in the higher education space. The Malaysian African Education Forum 2025 brings together leaders, policymakers, scholars, and development partners exploring ways to deepen across-border academic cooperation and support Africa's higher education development.
Kenya, as a regional education hub and host of many international institutions, stands ready to work closely with Malaysia and our African partners to advance our shared objectives.
Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Paul Elmaina.
And now to the political news. Deputy President Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki has taken a direct swap at former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua during a development tour in Mbeere North constituency, challenging him to explain what he accomplished while in office. Kindiki, who was accompanied by a host of leaders from Mount Kenya East, urged residents to shun the opposition, insisting it cannot deliver development, as Davis Karani now reports.
Touring Mbere North constituency, the country's second in command, Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki did not mince his words as he questioned Gachagwa's track record during his tenure as deputy president as he campaigned for a UDA aspirant in Mbere North constituency, Honorable Leo Wamutende.
Kuna watu hapa walikuja hapa Karerema kusema one term, hiyo barabara ipotee. Mutakubali? Au kusikia wale wakora walikuja hapa kusema one term, barabara yetu ipotee? Muliwasikia wakisema one time hapa? Nyinyi munataka hiyo barabara, hamtaki. Barabara iwekwe lami. Huyu wa Muthende aende asukume mahali imebakia. Si barabara imetangazwa. Si contract imepeanwa. Ile imebaki si ni kuleta contractor. Wale watu walikuwa hapa wakisema one time. Munawaambia waende wasiende. Waende wasiende. Waende wasiende.
He further urged the constituents to remain firmly aligned with the Kenya Kwanza administration, stressing that being in the opposition will not bring roads, water, jobs or any meaningful development in the region, asking them to ignore those pushing them to the opposition.
Wewe unakuja hapa kusema one term, unatuharibia. Unaharibia watu ya Mbere North. Unaharibia watu ya Embu. Unatuharibia kwa sababu tumengojea maendeleo kwa muda mrefu. Hii barabara tumeililia wakati wa Kenyatta mzee, hatukupata. Tukaililia wakati wa Kibaki, hatukupata. Tukaililia wakati wa Uhuru, hatukuipata. Sasa imepatikana saa hii kupitia William Ruto na Mr. Fire akiwa deputy president. Ni fire si fire.
Leaders who accompanied the DP, including MPs and MCS from Embu and neighboring counties, echoed his remarks, praising President William Ruto for what they described as unprecedented attention to the Upper Eastern and the wider Mount Kenya East region, citing ongoing infrastructure, energy and water projects as proof that the area is finally receiving its fair share of national development.
Kule Igembe sisi tunasema ni 2 term. Huku nyinyi mnasemaji? Nyinyi mnasemaji huku? Unajua kwa nini tunasema 2 term? Kwa sababu sisi tunataka mwenzetu ambaye ni Kithure Kindiki akuwe rais 2032.
Tukae kwa serikali, tustoke kwa serikali. Tumeamua ni wa Muthende ndio anaenda mbunge. Wa Muthende ndio watoto wapate bursaries. Ndio Mbere tupate maji. Ndio Mbere tupate mabarabara. Kingpin wetu tumeamua ni Kithure Kindiki professor.
Nyinyi mko na waziri anaitwa Roko hapa. Jirani yetu ni Profesa Kithure Kindiki. Sasa nyinyi mkiwapea mtu mwenye badala ya kwenda kwa maofisi Nairobi, anatembea na yule jamaa wa kwetu, wakitusi watu, wakitukanana, wakiwa na hasira, maendeleo yenu itatoka wapi? Tumekubaliana, mnahitaji maendeleo.
Kindiki's remarks escalate the political rift between the former deputy president and the current administration, setting the stage for the heightened political temperatures in the Mount Kenya East as the 2027 succession conversation continues to unfold. Davis Karani for GBS News.
And now to the county politics. A wave of political energy swept through Kasipul constituency as top ODM leaders from the region to vigorously campaign for the party's candidate, Boyd Were, ahead of the highly contested by-election, urging residents to stand firmly with the Orange Party and defend its long-held legacy in the area. The leaders, who pitched tent across several trading centers and addressed multiple roadside gatherings from the by-election as a defining moment for Kasipul's political direction, one that will determine whether the constituency continues to walk the path of progressive leadership or falls into what they termed as attempts by the rival camps to destabilize ODM's traditional stronghold. They called on residents to reject what they described as external interference and short-term political persuasions, insisting that the future of Kasipul lies in electing a leader aligned with the region's development agenda. According to the leaders, Boyd Were, representing continuity, stability, and a renewed commitment to key local priorities, including infrastructure growth, youth empowerment, and better representation in national debates. They urge voters to use the by-election as an opportunity to reaffirm ODM's influence in the elected region and to entrust Were with the mandate to advance development, restore unity, and safeguard the political identity that the constituency has upheld for decades. And with that, it is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into social media platforms at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is always 21144. We'll be right back.
Today on the show, we're talking about navigating the long-distance relationship.
First of all, the world is now a global village thanks to technology and the internet.
Mm-hmm. When you talk about relationships, when you talk about love, when you talk about feelings, when you talk about emotions, all these things originate from the heart. I never saw in the Bible where someone was married and then the wife was living far away from them and then there was something that they were building.
When it comes to relationships and probably communication, that distance is not a barrier.
Yeah.
But it is in communication, in effective communication. There is something that long-distance relationships lack, which is very essential for effective relationship building.
When you're cooking and the tap gets spoiled, do you try to repair it from that point or you run to the main source and then you close it?
So today we are diving into a topic that has become rather popular right here in Kenya, the K-pop culture.
I would say K-pop invokes creativity, like mega creativity. I have friends who are creative and you'll see you've done that and they're like, yeah.
An ex told me that K-pop girls, K-pop stan girls, was like, the men you stan look like women and you aim to get a man that looks like that. So if you fail to find a man like that, because obviously you're in Kenya, you're not going to find a pretty man.
For me, it's like I have two personalities at this point. I have my normal life and I have my army life. Because when I get into my army life, it's just like a whole new world. A community full of people who don't judge, people who accept you.
Learning Korean from a Kenyan can sometimes mess you up because they pronounce words differently, and when you speak to a native, it's like, hold up, what did you say?
I've never met like a K-pop fan. I don't know why.
What am I?
No, not when people want to like express themselves like I'm a K-pop fan. Unless you see them like wearing like a branded T-shirt or a branded hoodie, you realize that they're K-pop fans.
The main campaign of BTS is loving yourself, right? And K-pop has a lot of drawbacks. Just like anything else, too much of something is poisonous, yeah? And one of the drawbacks is it comes with beauty because they have these absurd beauty standards. While BTS passed this message that you're supposed to love yourself, embrace yourself, you're just perfect the way you are. You know, you don't have to eat less to be beautiful. You're beautiful from the inside, right? Get into BTS, it's hard to come out.
Okay.
About being a miss or being a pageant queen, it is not just about wearing a crown or looking pretty on social media. It is about how much you can impact the community. What can you do with the title you hold? Actually, a young model in the industry. I started modeling this year in school. Actually, I used to go to International Youth Fellowship where we had a modeling class. I used to study fashion and design, and we had a modeling class. So I am high fashion trained. On Instagram, kelly.omuhaya. On TikTok, Miss Omuhaya.
Now tell us about that moment when you had your name that you won Miss Kasarani 2025-2026.
What I would like to advise you is keep going. keep going, put God first, be resilient, be a go-getter, find joy within yourself, walk with pride, chin up, smile, you are a queen. He who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. That makes me always rise, knowing that I have something that is greater than what people can see.
Everywhere, GBS. Welcome back to the bulletin, and now to the international news. Former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro told a judge that medication-induced paranoia and hallucinations caused him to tamper with his electronic ankle monitor while under house arrest. He explained that a combination of anticonvulsant drugs prescribed for persistent hiccups led him to believe there were surveillance devices within the tracking equipment, prompting him to interfere with it using a soldering iron. Bolsonaro insisted that he had no intention to escape, that he came to his senses and stopped before causing a further damage. His legal team cited his fragile health condition, age, and medical side effects as reasons for his irrational behavior during the incident. This explanation came after Bolsonaro was apprehended due to concerns he might flee as he awaited final appeals on his prison sentence related to plotting a coup to overturn the 2022 election results. And now to the Middle East. Israel killed Haytham Ali Tabatabai, Hezbollah's military chief of staff, in an airstrike on Beirut's southern suburb on Dahia on November 23rd. The strike marked Israel's first attack in Beirut in several months and was part of an intensified offensive against the Iran-backed militant group despite a U.S. brokered ceasefire established almost a year ago. The strike killed at least 5 people and injured around 28 others. Hezbollah confirmed Tabata's death, honoring him as a prominent military leader, while Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu emphasized that under his leadership, Israel will not allow Hezbollah to regain strength and pose as a threat again. This attack has heightened tensions, with Hezbollah warning it crossed a red line and signaling potential retaliation. The Chinese humanoid robot A2, developed by Shanghai-based robotics company Agibot, set a Guinness World Record by completing a continuous 3-day walk covering 106.3 kilometers, that is 66 miles, from Suzhou to Shanghai. The 169-centimeter tall A2 robot navigates varied surfaces such as highways and city streets, while strictly adhering to traffic regulations throughout the journey, which lasted from November 10 to November 13. A key feature enabling this endurance feat was Agibot's rapid hot swap battery system, allowing the robot to remain operational without shutting down. The journey demonstrated advanced hardware, balance, algorithms, and stamina, marking a significant milestone for humanoid robotic reliability and commercial potential. This achievement highlights rapid progress in China's robotics industry, with the A2 robot capable of autonomous navigation, facial recognition, and multilingual interactions. It was the first humanoid robot to set such a long-distance walking record, showcasing how physical AI and robotics technology are advancing towards human-like endurance and capability in mobility tasks.
这是我机器生涯刻骨铭心的经历。
And with that, you have come to the end of the news bulletin. It's always a pleasure having you on board. My name is Susan Nganga, and our sign language interpreter tonight has been Paul Mathenge. Have a good night.
Everywhere, GBS.